Okay, to repeat what this bonehead's trying to say here is the bike vibrated so bad he's mad the FMF fatty didn't do better, so the vibration's got to be taken out of the motor. We're going to take it apart and we're going to mod it and we're going to port it and we're going to put it back together, and we're going to put a VM18 carburetor on it, and we're going to put the FM fatty back on it, and we're going to see how fast it goes with the other pipes, of course. That's all I was trying to say. Let's cook. Kind of curious to see how the piston looks. Alright, here we go. What the? Subscribe. We got two very good transfer port washes on each side of the piston. That's pretty good. But it's just really showing one. And this is bone stock. This is how it comes. I have not pulled this cylinder off. This will be the first time. But it vibrated so damn bad. So damn bad. Not too bad. We gotta get that kind of waxy. Cylinder doesn't look that bad, doesn't have any lines or anything in it like that, but really there's not much running on this thing. Look at that wobble. Huh? Yeah. Alright. We're going to balance it. What we got going on here is I marked the inside of the piston with the blue dye, and for some reason I would put the piston in and it wouldn't drop all the way through. And I saw a few little scuffs in there, not much, just basically a polishing is more or less all it was. And you can see there was a lot of buildup on the piston because I think there was a lot of, and you see how it picks the piston right on up. And I'm going, I do know pistons are tapered towards the bottom and it picks it right up. So pretty much I put that die in there and I'm just going to scrub it across there back and forth a couple of times to find out what is dragging in there. And you'll be able to see just scrubbing it back and forth, see what is actually binding on both sides or what might be hitting. And lo and behold, you got one mark right there, and it's pretty good. And we're gonna line it up on the piston and find out where exactly it is. And right there, evidently they hit it with something or they dropped it. That's the reason I take the pistons out, I polish them, I sand them down a little bit with some very, very fine sandpaper. And this is the reason why. That little thing there might not cause much damage in the chrome, but what it does, it pushes the other side of the piston in hard as it's running. We saw this thing run several miles and it hasn't blown up or anything, but eventually that does slow it down, especially when it expands from the heat and everything. So, and just kind of looking at it, and it looks like there's somebody right there, and it just dinged it, and it doesn't take much. But I'm gonna clean all that up, and I'm gonna polish the piston, and I'm gonna take 10 thousandths off the top of it. Now what we're doing here is we're marking the, to balance the crank. And I get 50-50, I'll do a mark on it, and I'll subtract it, or divide it by 2, and then subtract it by half, and then that way I can give it a mark. Same principle here. The diameter, I will by half it, and then I'll make marks on both sides. So that'll give me, I'm push punching it right here and setting it up for my bigger punch. Now we'll be drilling 6 areas. Now, very important, if you're going to do this, and I'm doing it with a drill press, you can do it with a hand drill too. You have to be very careful and keep it level. But that starter bit I've got in there is very important because it will walk. And it'll get in that center punch groove and it'll stay right where it's supposed to. So that's very important. So, and this is pretty what you're going to see right now is I'm going to show it to you. Very important that you get you one of those. That's a 1/2 inch. And it's just very robust and it's not going to move. Now this is a 1/2 inch bit. We're going to be cutting down 14.7 millimeters. Now this is strictly for entertainment purposes only, and you shouldn't do this to your crank. I've got it all taped up and everything to keep as much shavings and stuff out of it. And pretty much that's it. This is a 31/64 bit going down 6 millimeter with it, and that's from the point to the collar on both of these bits. All right, now what we're going to do right now, we're going to start truing it up. Now you got to remember, I'm checking that I've got a run out of about 5, which equals to 2.5 per side. Now what we're going to be doing first is this part. These are your 2 halves. So we're going to get those within, and you're going to be seeing me hitting it with a hammer, but that's how you do it. We're getting it this way right now. So we're going to move this out the way because I don't really want to hit my indicators because they don't last long after you do that, if they last after the hit. So, and I'm moving the other camera in there, but I didn't even use any of the footage on that. And I'm going to hit it, and it looks like I'm hitting it hard, but this thing's pretty robust and it's got to move. So I'm going to go back and forth, getting it right to where it's perfect, or within a couple thousandths. So we're getting it in there. It takes a little time. educated hits. Like I said, remember, you know, we got a 2.5 inch or 2.5 thousandths run out, and we're going to check this. We're like 1 on that. Yeah, it's good. And then we're going to check this. And you'll kind of bounce back and forth sometimes. You'll hit it too hard or whatever. And I'm using a plastic hammer. Now I'm going to extend this because I want to catch that shaft. Y'all saw how bad it was wobbling. Now this will be this way now. Not this way, but this way. We'll be prying it out, squeezing it back in until we get that shaft running very, very close. It's 14, 15 thousandths out now, and that's definitely not what we're looking for. So I'm kind of watching this as I'm narrating it a little bit. And towards the end, we will get this thing really, really nice. And whenever I had put the motor together, I could grab my finger, and that's me squeezing it. And that's just bringing it in, back and forth, back and forth. I could take my finger on the sprocket with everything in there, just the crank, and it would just spin so easy. So it's good now, and it is good. And we are going to squeeze in there a little bit. And you try to get it as best you can. I mean, and that's pretty good there. You're looking at maybe 1 to 2 thousandths. So that's good. All right, let's get down to the timing. We had a 115 degrees exhaust opened at 115 degrees, and the transfers opened up at 120 degrees. No, that's wrong. Let me go ahead. I put that down there wrong. It's at 105 degrees. Let me get this straight. I need to go back and fix that, but I don't know whether I am or not. It opened at 105, and intakes open and close at 55 degrees, which that's about normal. Yeah, see, that's at 105. They give you 150 degrees exhaust duration, and we have 120 degrees transfer duration. So what we're going to do here is, this is Dave Amos shows you this in his videos of carb tuning and porting information. And what I'm going to do is, I got a ring in there, and I'm going to pick the ring up to what the 10 degrees I want to get 25 blow down. So we're going to get this off of there, and the ring's still in there. What you're going to do, you're going to take, I got a deep groove or deep pocket marker, a felt tip, anything. I'm going to mark it, and you can see the mark I got right there. So what we're going to do next is, we are going to cut that down and go ahead and get 25 degrees of blowdown. All right, we did our homework. We raised the exhaust roof up to where it's 95, opposed to 105. We went up 10 degrees. So we just routed it out, cleaned it up, smoothed it out, and now our blowdown numbers, if you look at where we're at right now, we're right at 119 degrees. 95 minus 119 gives you 24 degrees blowdown. So that's what we've got. So that's where we're at, and we got a nice, good, open exhaust, everything, and now we're going to deal with the gasket. I've got it coated with copper adhesive, and you don't want to, it doesn't dry, so you just literally, I'm manipulating the bolts and stuff until I get it to set down. There we go. Now I'm going to put the head on, and at the end of this video I'm going to do a small test run with no miles per hour, just looking at it. And the problem I'm having is this is a lot more heat in this setup than the other one, so the head is not going to work. We achieved a squish of and all the bolts torqued down good. So on our squish, you always take your squish from side to side over the wrist pin, never front to back, because your piston will rock. The reason being is we got a squish of 12 thousandths. They make a long story short, 12 thousandths is not enough. So by adding going from the copper gasket to the aluminum gasket, has a difference of, I think, 10 thousandths, if I'm not mistaken. And so I put an aluminum one in there, and the squish was fine, because the first initial test, when it heated up, it was just too much. So this is a test ride. Basically, I've just been warming it up, idling, stopped by a friend's house, heat it up, run it. Naturally, whenever you port an engine like this, you're going to lose a little bit of bottom end to try to achieve top end. Now this is a piston port engine. We've got a VM18 carburetor on it, and we're running the MZ65 pipe, and that's what we're going to start out at. But before this testing can continue, there's a issue that we have to address, and we'll see that here in a few minutes. And I just love how people like to ride right behind you, watching it. Oh, that's so cool and all that. And they just hang there until you have to slam the damn brakes on until get the hell on, go, get. And I pretty much believe that the motor's warmed up enough, ready to go. And heat soaked about as good as it's going to get. And then at the top of this little incline up here, I'm going to get into it. I didn't have my GPS on, didn't even bother with that. This was just a test to see if everything was going to work. Over 7,500 RPM, and I backed out of it because that hump right there. Now, here's the elephant in the room thing. This thing heated up so bad it warped the head, and this after me torquing it back down the second time. So before I can go any further with this, I'm going to have to get a huge heat sink head high compression. They're not really high compression. They're all 7 cc's or about. On my knocker or my tan bike, I have a 5 cc head on it that I made. If you look back on the videos, you'll see that. This message is all for you distributors, manufacturers, and stuff like that. You need to step up. I'm being the materialistic weasel here. I need a head. You know, I'll buy one if necessary, no problem. But if you want to prove your worth of your product, here's your chance. You need to send me a head, and basically what they are is a heat sink. That little head I had on it does not heat sink enough heat and doesn't get rid of enough heat. So I have to buy one, I buy one, but testing can't go on any way past this until I get one for it. So that's it in a nutshell. Please hit like and subscribe. We're going to continue this, but we're going to have to get a high compression head. Not a high compression head, but just one of these big billet heads that remove a lot of heat. That's the reason I don't have any of this trouble with my other bikes. So, or my other motors. So that's it in a nutshell. Y'all have a great day. It's been a pleasure doing this, and I'm going to continue doing it, and we're going to find out exactly what this thing does. I'm going to say that the FMFA is going to beat everybody on this one, but I got to get ahead first. You manufacturers, distributors out there, hit me up. Y'all have a good day.